episode 236 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, manga, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined here for the first episode of 2023 by Kyle Springer.
Yes, hello. Happy 2023. Man, I'm trying to get back into the groove of podcasting again. It's been a couple weeks. I almost didn't hit record at the start of this. But here we are. I am excited to be back. It's good. How was your break?
It was nice. Got to see some family. Got to watch a lot of movies. I spent the last couple weeks of the year cramming in a bunch of 2022 movies I wanted to make sure I got to so that I could make a pretty comprehensive best of 2022 list.
Okay.
And there's still stuff I missed, and I still have to catch up on. There's so many good movies nowadays.
I have a quick hot take. All right. I think it's a hot take. Maybe it's not. Who knows? I finally caught up. I saw Venom 2, and then I watched Morbius. My hot take is that I actually liked Morbius more than I liked Venom 2.
Interesting. I just heard.
I think they're both terrible still, but I liked that one better.
I just listened to the episode of How Did This Get Made on Morbius, and those hosts did like the movie more than I expected. They're like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's a fine watch. And
sure, yeah.
I had a lot of fun with Venom 2. I liked that Venom 2 chose to go for things that were more fun. Like there's more like actual fun in that movie. There's more jokes. There's more preposterous things happening than in the first one. It's like a tight 90 minutes. I love a movie that owns being over 3 hours long, but I also love a movie that owns being 90 minutes. And I was happy to see that in Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
Anyways, that's what I caught up with, and I just had to say something about that. So there you go. But we're not here to talk about all of that stuff. We are here to talk about the first 3 John Wick movies.
Yes.
Melissa, you were the one that pitched these for us to start the year off.
That's our tradition. We spend our holiday break. We take a couple weeks off at the end of the year, beginning of the year, every year. And it's been our tradition most of the time we've done this to watch an entire movie franchise. Like we've watched all the Mission Impossibles, all the Matrix, all of the Daniel Craig, James Bonds to date, so that we were prepared to see No Time to Die, the 5th and final one when that came out. And this year it was my turn to do the pitches. So I looked at franchises that are having a new movie come out in 2023. So I pitched to you all the Fast and Furiouses, all the Indiana Joneses, or all the John Wicks. And you picked Mr. Wick.
I had to go with John Wick. Yeah. In Indiana Jones, I love, they're all great films. I guess not all of them, but I'm just not as excited about that that new Indiana Jones one. I'm sure I'll go see it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah. Not as super excited. I really wanted to get Fast and the Furious on the podcast somehow, some way. More on that in just a sec. But I thought doing all 9 current movies in one episode might be a little tough to like. There's not, you have to be like, all right, one sentence on each movie. Where do you want to go? Right. So I felt like John Wick was a good fit. And it's also a series of films that I have not seen yet. Well, had not seen yet. So it was one that's like, this will be completely new. So let's go with that one. John Wick. Here we are.
It's also a nice bit of symmetry in that The Matrix is how we opened last year. So here we are back again with Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne.
Indeed. So I'm excited to talk about these. Like I said, I had not seen these before. It was something I missed that first one, and then because I did, by the time the second one came out, I was just like, well, I'm behind now, and oh well. I'm
How
just
can I ever be
behind.
expected to catch
Right.
up on a single movie in time to see
I
the
know.
next movie?
If
That's
only
so
we
much
had
work.
the technology, right, at our fingertips to like watch this on some service or something where you could like stream movies or rent them. Oh well.
Kyle, where did you watch these films? Because my dad owns all of them, so I was able to watch them on beautiful Blu-ray discs.
They are on HBO Max.
Oh, nice.
Yes, all three of them are on HBO Max. That's where I watched them from the comfort of my own home, right in my living room.
Me as well. I was also comforted in my living room and in my parents' living room. My dad and I started watching these together a couple months ago, and we had to watch them at times when mom was not in the house. Like I'd go over to my parents' house to do laundry or whatever, and mom would leave for something, and it's like, now's our chance to watch a very violent action movie. So I had seen the first two, and we hadn't yet gotten to the third one when I gave you this pitch. So now I've seen 3, and then I went back and I rewatched all of them. Like I watched number 2 with the commentary, and
nice.
I watched a lot of the bonus features because I think the making of these films is fascinating and one of the most impressive things about it.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure you guys out there listening to this are unlike me and had already seen these, if not most of them. So the John Wick films are fantastic. They're action packed. They look gorgeous. The lighting in them is always stellar. And you know me, I'm a sucker for all kinds of like different color RGB neon lights. Despite not having seen them, it was always a series that I was like, man, I know that I'm gonna like these movies. Like it just seems like something I would enjoy. And I did. Now that I've watched them all, I liked them. I enjoyed them a lot. I have to say the first one is my favorite by far.
Oh, interesting.
Again, I think they're all stellar. I think the second and third one lost a little bit of magic that the first one had.
Really?
Which we'll get into when we get into our spoiler territory. But Melissa, how was your rewatch of them? How was your first time viewing of the third one?
I'd heard nothing but good things about these movies, and I thought about checking them out, and it was the perfect movie to watch with Dad. Dad who loves just a straightforward action film. Dad who loves to show off that he knows like the names of motorcycles and guns and different types of knives.
Oh, he went
different
with
types of cars.
Good choice. Yeah,
exactly. That is precisely what my dad is doing. And it's sort of fun to allow him to do that. Like, you know, you don't got a dad forever. You got to take these opportunities while you have them. Just listen to him tell you a bunch of technical stuff you don't need to know. So it was a really fun watch in that context, and I started to take a personal liking to them, not just a secondhand, my dad likes these liking to these movies.
Good stuff. Yeah. I guess then if you are one of the people like me who had not seen them or have not, I guess quick plot synopsis of these movies here. The first one starts out with John Wick just kind of being a normal dude. He seems to be some kind of retired hitman assassin. And then he gets pulled back in when they rob his house. They destroy they steal his car. They kill his dog. His wife has already passed away.
Yes. Yeah. He's been
cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been absolutely decimated by the loss of his wife, who seemed like she was the center of his whole world. That he left this life of crime behind at great risk to spend a quiet life with her. And she dies and she leaves him the dog. Like she just arranges for a dog on her deathbed. She's like, send my husband a dog. He's going to need something to focus his energy on. He needs something to care for. So when his car and his dog, the two things left in his life that he really can put care into and feel a sense of nurturing with, when those things are threatened, he goes right back to where he was. He's like back to the hitman lifestyle.
back to the hitman lifestyle. And once word gets out that like, oh, you robbed John Wick, everyone is scared. Everyone is like, oh shit, fuck. Well, son, it was good knowing you while you lasted. Good luck.
Exactly.
Everyone is scared, and John Wick goes to get revenge. Of course, once that happens, he's kind of back in it for good. He does not want to be, but then has yet another reason to pull him back in to keep going on. And that's how we have these movies till he's eventually kind of fighting the organization he's a part of. And this world of assassination that is in the world of John Wick here, which is an interesting thing. So that's
there's
kind of the overarching plot. Do you want to mention anything else?
It does start out fairly simple. Like in the first movie, he goes to like a secret hotel for assassins. You can tell there's some sort of organization to this underworld. There's some sort of sense of rules here, and that just grows and grows throughout the movies. It becomes so mythology heavy, but in a way that's really exciting that this movie chose to go this route and to make everything part of this larger story that you are getting piece by piece.
Yep. Indeed. Yeah, I had a blast with them. I especially like that first one also because it's basically a tight 90 minutes. It's like an hour and 40, I think. The second and third one are closer to that 2 hour mark there, but they all seem to just do what they need to do. There's the setup of the like emotional start, and then that like it's not a training montage per se, but it's the like slower calm before the storm. He's setting up, he's loading all of his guns, and then the action starts. And that's kind of the formula for all of the movies. And it's neat. It's fun to watch. They're good films. I recommend them. But may not be a mom movie.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, I think that's kind of about it. I have to say, like, spoiler free for all of the John Wick stuff. Do you have any last kind of thoughts before we do housekeeping here?
No, let's go into housekeeping.
Cool. We will take a quick break and we will be right back for some spoilers. So we will see you in just a sec. Here at the Whatnauts, we make multiple different shows, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. If you enjoy our shows, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to show your support. For just $1 a month, you can get early access to episodes, and at our $3 tier, a Patreon exclusive podcast, The Pilots Club. You can even get a shout out and thank you on most of our shows at the $5 tier. And if you're one of our patrons already, thank you so much. It means the world to us. You can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch for video versions of the shows, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a hoodie or a mug or something else, head over to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.
Thank
we
you.
love you a lot. We appreciate you. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts. We just started 2023, so there's not much we've been up to. Last year, we had a blast, though. Go check out our 7-year anniversary retrospective.
Yeah.
That's out on all of our podcast feeds. It's up on our YouTube. It's a long one, but we have a lot of fun. We do some trailer reactions to Barbie and Oppenheimer. We talk about some of our favorite moments from the review show, from the Captain's Log. We give out awards. Ignacio joins us. We didn't think Ignacio would be here, but he was like, surprise, here I am. Yeah. So lots of cool, fun stuff. Things to look forward to in this year. We never got around last year to our fantasy draft on the captain's log.
Yeah.
So we had said we're going to do 2 fantasy drafts this year. So get ready for 2 fantasy drafts on the captain's log. It's going to be great. Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun here. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of neat trailers to react to and all that good stuff. But last but not least, our Patreon exclusive podcast for this month. We have not recorded it yet, but we are watching the pilot of Bird Girl on HBO Max. It's an Adult Swim cartoon, the kind of continuation / sequel of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. So I thought that would be an interesting one to start the year off on. But we will be recording that soon. That will be up on Patreon, on patreon.com/the Whatnauts, and available to our $3 tier and above. So be on the lookout for all that good stuff. But that's it. That's housekeeping right now. Let's get into spoilers. Man, there we go. Okay. Spoilers for John Wick. Melissa, where do you want to start?
The dog dies. I think that's the biggest spoiler.
Yeah, the dog dies. Yeah, I mean, man, one of the things that I think I really like about the first one, of course, besides seeing the dog die, it's not really on screen, but it's close enough that it's just like, oh, my heart.
Yeah.
Like that, I think the first one is the most emotional of the 3. Like True. It sucks that the dog had to die, but you also have the like emotional scenes of him and his wife, of him like being there by her bedside, all that stuff, and that's his motivation. Yeah. Which is, they also kind of fridge the wife, so like we don't know anything about her besides he loved her. And she died. That's kind of it. And so she is kind of a non-character. So say what you will about that, but it like that's exactly what it's going for too. Just that real quick gut punch. Just like oh man, this guy's life is a wreck. He's miserable. Yeah. Like what is he gonna do? And then he's like, I'm gonna go kill everyone. You're just like, right on, let's do it.
Right. He goes to kill everyone because action has been taken against him. After the loss of it's not the loss of his wife that pushes him over the edge, because that's, she died from disease. It's not anything he can really fight against. But it's after he's got the dog, like the dog is delivered in a box on his doorstep. And then he takes the dog out in his like fancy sports car he spent all this time like refurbishing. He just runs into like the wrong guys. These like it's like the son of like the Russian mafia and a bunch of his goons who like see him at a gas station, and they're like, "Oh, I like your car. How much for the car?" And he's like, "Car's not for sale." They're like, "Oh, pretty dog. Shame if something happened to it." And then they come to his house, they try and steal the car, and in all of that, they kill the dog. And then he's got something to focus. He's got an addition to all of his rage and his grief, but also now a focal point for it. Yes. He's got a specific thing he can go do, an action he can take, which is the sense of rightful vengeance against, you killed my dog. I'm going to destroy your world.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing I do like about all of that is what the dog represents. Right. Like it's not just a dog, but like we said, it's a dog that his wife got. And in that dog, John Wick has placed like his last hope of like, like just having a quiet, happy life. And once that is taken away from him, I think there is a line in the like second or third movie about the dog of something like that, of just like, that was my last like little bit of hope here, and that was taken away. So I do like that, because that gives some, in a roundabout way, I feel like that is the characterization of the wife, right? It's through the dog, like, because the dog is the last hope. That is the small ounce of characterization from the wife. Like we can kind of glean that she loved him, she cared for him, she's smart, she has the foresight to be like, hey, when I die, give him a puppy. Here's a note that I wrote that came with, like, she's smart enough to like figure all that stuff out and knowing and like anticipating what he will be like. And I think that's spectacular. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was watching one of the bonus features on the third disc that talks about a lot of the dog fighting, the dogs, like the attack dog work, dog foo, called it, that is in the third movie. They also talk about like John Wick's companion dog. He does eventually get a new dog. But they're talking about working with the dogs and the importance that a dog has to this film series. Especially, they noted that like that was a lot of what people took away from the first movie in popular culture. It's like John Wick, dog guy and assassin. But it's like the dog was right up there at the forefront in people's minds when they thought of John Wick. And they talk about his wife and her wisdom in leaving him this dog. Like they do, even though you barely know the wife, they do treat her with a lot of dignity. Like, she was a wise woman. Like, we don't know anything about her, but we still have nothing but respect for her. And I don't know if that is something that through flashbacks, as we get deeper into this world and deeper into knowing John Wick, if we are going to fill out exactly who she was and how they met. And
I would really like to know more about her.
If she had any possible connection to anything, if there was anything that she left behind to also live a quiet life with him.
Yes. That said, I hope she's not the like, oh, she was a secret agent for some other thing, and like her mission was to get him out of the game, out of the way, so that they could kill. Like, I don't make her evil. Like, don't make her in opposition. I don't want that. Though I do think something else about the wife that I think is neat is that whenever someone describes John Wick, they're always like, he is a man of focus and a man of commitment.
Yes.
And like, that was the thing that like scared them the most of like, once he starts, he will not stop. And so for a woman to pull him away from that and get him to stop is a powerful thing, right? It's just like, wow, okay, she had some kind of sway in like somehow he loved her so much that she could just be like, let's just go to the beach and just hang out at the beach and not think about anything, right?
When I was listening to the commentary when I rewatched the second movie, it's the director and Keanu Reeves. And at the beginning of that movie, there is a brief flashback to like him on the beach with his wife. And in the commentary track, when she appears, Keanu Reeves just says, wife.
Just wife.
With so much pathos in that one word. It's like nothing more needs to be said. Wife.
There you go. Well, nothing more needs to be said about the wife, indeed. So here's the thing that I want to talk about next. This is the thing that I mentioned here about how I loved the first one, and I thought the second and third kind of lost a little bit of the magic. I still found them stellar. I loved all three of them, but there was just something special about that first one. And part of it is how emotional it is, right? Part of it is, to me, also the choreography of the action and stuff. When we see John Wick immediately go back into his assassin mode, when they're like in his house, right? And it's because he gets beat up, they leave, but then there's more people that come shortly after that, right? I forget how, but when you first see him like in John Wick assassin mode, it's typically one shot, one kill. Like maybe shoot someone in the leg to get them in a certain position so he can kill someone else first, and then we'll go back and shoot them once in the head. Every once in a while, he double taps to like make sure that they're dead, right? But typically, it was one shot, one kill. And that is fucking badass. Like, that is like, oh shit, I see why they were scared of him. And he's been retired for a while and he can still do all of that. That's incredible. What was he like when he was at the top of his game, right? And then in the second and third movies, they get away from that. It is more him shooting 5 or 6 times to take down one guy.
Yeah.
Granted, by that third film, they do say like, oh, we have improved armor, right? And all of the stuff. So there is some explanations. I do think the multiple shots makes it more realistic, right?
Yeah.
But like that was, I was like, I know he can do better than this. Like, why is he missing? Like what? Like he should be able to take this guy down in one hit. Why was that 3 shots?
That is an interesting point. I can see why that was left after the first movie. One, because these movies take place in a compressed time frame. All 3 of these movies, I think, take place in less than a month. He goes from one thing directly into the next thing. So you can imagine that as these movies go on, he is becoming more tired, more injured. He's becoming more worn. Like his skills are getting sharper.
His but injuries just his like magically heal from like scene to scene. I don't know.
Right. Like he is given some very good like painkillers. You can imagine just like his physical body maybe doesn't have the stamina by movie 3 that it had in movie 1. And also like just in terms of as these movies gain more popularity, they gain budget, there's more they want to do. It would get a bit boring if he's still like the guy who can take everybody out with one shot. Like they really want to give all their stunt performers their own time to shine and like kind of holding their own against John Wick. I think that is a good point. Yeah, he is more of this force of nature, this this unstoppable force in the first movie. And in the third movie, there are longer and more fight scenes
drawn
where
out.
He is like a little bit more threatened by whoever it is he's fighting.
Yeah. And that was the thing is like in those action scenes in the first one, I didn't look away because it was so much of that one shot, one kill. Just like, holy shit, how is he doing this? How did he know that the guy would be right there? How did he like the instincts on him? Like I couldn't look away. I was just like, this is fascinating. But as these fight scenes in the second and third one got more drawn out, I was like, well, I know he's going to win. This is just taking longer. So I found myself like looking at Twitter and stuff like that in the fight scenes, just looking up. Yeah, he's still winning. Okay. Oh, they stopped. All right, cool. What's next? Right. And so yeah, like I felt like they were a little more boilerplate in that regard.
Oh,
here's the third thing, though. This is the thing that really sealed the deal. There's something in the first movie that I thought was brilliant, and I didn't see anything like it in the second or third movies. It is a small detail, but the fact that it's in there was like, give whoever put that in there, give that guy a raise. He's incredible. So when John Wick is in the club, in the first movie, you have that pounding club beat, right? That boom, 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 and it's constant, it's steady, and he does his fight scene. There is a scene, however, where he does get hit, where John Wick gets shot and he gets knocked down and has to like roll over to hide behind a pillar. When he gets shot, the beat changes. It's still on beat, but the beat changes to this like double tap on the drum. So it's like boom, 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 which is a heartbeat. And he's sitting there like, holy shit, I got hit. That hurt, right? And so you're sitting there like, huh, he got hurt. Like, how bad is this? Is he like down for the count here? What's happening? Which is not. He rallies, he reloads his guns, he stands back up. When he stands back up, the beat goes back to this boom, 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 boom. And I was like, that that was awesome. Whoever put that in there, spectacular.
I didn't pick up on that at all. That's really cool.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of if you guys have seen Satoshi Kon's Tokyo Godfathers. There's a scene where one of the characters, he's just this homeless guy, had just had this kind of vision of himself when he's older and dying, and he's about to go off and do his next thing. But as he's leaving, there's these punk kids that come and beat him up, and this scene is like these two guys fighting, but the buildings behind them are office buildings, and there's a row of lights on whatever like top layer of this building is, and as each character gets hit, one of the lights goes out, so it's like a health. It's a health bar. So it reminded me like that. It's just this like minor detail in the background. Maybe you won't catch it. But if you do, it was just like, man, that's so cool. That was awesome. And they don't do like incorporating the music in that way was not something they did in the second and third one. And I was hoping for some kind of detail like that or something similar. Maybe there is, and I just didn't catch it, but because I did not, I was like, there's almost a certain attention to detail in the first one that was not in the second two.
I think there is an attention to detail, maybe just on different things.
Sure, yes, and I agree with that 1,000%. Still loved the second and the third one. Yeah, so it was just like, but man, there's just something about that first one.
The first one did really impress me, and the cast it was able to assemble. Like I don't think I knew who was in the movie except for Keanu Reeves. But as we're going through it, you meet like such a murderous row of great character actors. Willem Dafoe, John Leguizamo, Ian McShane, review show alum Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
Like they just keep Wonder Woman, the failed pilot Wonder Woman. I was so happy she got a chance to shine in that first movie.
Yeah, exactly. That is kind of one of the things that the John Wick series excels at, is to get these really great actors to play these smaller parts or just interesting bit roles. And not bit as in comedic, but just another assassin, Adrian Palnicki, or however you say her name. Right. Yeah, to have Ian McShane be the head of the hotel. It's like, oh, I love when I see him in stuff, right? Had no idea that John Leguizamo was in this, right? And the kid that steals his car, it's like he was in Game of Thrones. He was one of the Greyjoys, I think, right? He like all that. Like I've never seen.
I've never seen Game of Thrones. Well, I watched season 1 and I barely remember it, and I really checked out. So I know that's like a major actor recognition database that I don't have access to.
It's the new like, oh, they were in The Wire, or they were in Lost, right? It's like, oh, they were in Game of Thrones now. Yeah. So
but I found that impressive, and I liked the world building in the first movie. And they do so much more with the world building in the second two movies that after having seen them, when I went back and watched the first one, it feels very small in comparison to them. And that might be a perk for some people, that it is this very straightforward, direct man on a vengeance mission story that just has this flair around it. But I think the world building is one of the greatest strengths of the series so far. And I love that it is getting built piece by piece.
Yeah.
Very slowly. And there's no audience point of view character. Like there is nobody who doesn't know how this world works and is having it explained to them for the first time. Like these movies like don't hold your hand with anything. Like they treat you with a lot of respect. Like, you don't need us to explain everything. We're going to give you we're going to show you things and not explain them. We do explain things. It's going to be like one little detail at a time. You're going to catch up. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I like that it's something that it is building as it goes on. When you watch the first movie, there's not really like that many hints. It's not like you can tell, like the movie knew in movie 1 that it's going to build towards this confrontation with the high table. I don't even know if they say the words high table in the first movie.
I don't think they do.
So I like that this movie, like I like that the movie didn't start maybe knowing everything it was going to do, that each successive movie is inventing so much new stuff that for the fun of it. There wasn't as much of a preset plan. It is building the plan as it goes. And I think that's a lot of fun to watch.
It's interesting. Yeah, I like that there is fascinating lore in there, but it's also not the focus. Like they're not, because I am very much someone who loves that, like those smaller details of world building and stuff. Like if you can make that world believable to me, or just simply fun to exist in, then I enjoy it. I like it a lot. And this is doing that, but at a pace that I'm just like, I want to know more. Tell me more. Like what is happening here? Like it's almost at a ridiculous level because like they go to the Continental, that hotel, which I guess they're all called the Continental.
Yes.
But that's the thing, is you don't know that in the first movie that there's multiple Continentals. You don't know if this is a hotel that filled with all assassins, or they have a special floor where they put because like they slide the coin across like it's some like secret message to be like, I'm an assassin, give me the assassin suite, right? Like that but like later on you figure out that like, oh, everyone in that hotel is an assassin or works for them, all that stuff. But then like the next detail in the second movie is that it's not just one hotel. There's a network all around the world. Then there's like this high table that is like in charge of it, the board of directors, right? And then in the third one, you find out, well, there's actually someone above them. Right. And like it's one guy. Is he the one that started it all? Who knows? Maybe not.
Probably not. I got the sense that guy was like descended from whoever did start this. Who knows how many centuries ago?
But also, is there a layer of mysticism to this? We don't know. Like, is there like that could be something we learned in the fourth? I don't want it to go in a like, and he's immortal and he like all that. But like, would there be like just a small detail in there that like maybe it's the same guy? We don't know. Like, no one really knows for sure. Like something like that would be neat. But I digress. But also like just the fact that like by the second movie you kind of find out that like everyone in the world is an assassin. Like it's a ridiculous level. Like there is not an extra in this movie that is not an assassin.
It's not just that there's an assassin lurking everywhere. There's like many assassins lurking
it's the new
everywhere.
Twitter, right? They all log into their assassin app and see what jobs are out there.
I think that's also exciting. The degree to how this secret underbelly is still a secret, but it's not that small of the population. It's a lot more of the population than you think it is. And the movie isn't really flashy about that. Like everything is just delivered to you so matter-of-factly and so naturally. Like, oh yes, of course. Yeah. He walks down the street and 20 different people look at their phones like, that's John Wick. You know, he's excommunicado. I can go after him for a bounty. And hand in hand with this mythology of the organization and the rules and the high table and everything, you get to see among all these assassins, all of these administrative professionals that help their world run the way it does. I love in the second movie when you get, or when he goes to the other continental, I think maybe he's in Rome, and there's all these different people he goes to visit. Like he goes to visit somebody who's got all these historic maps of all these buildings so that he can find a secret way in. He goes to the tailors that make him a bulletproof suit. He goes to Peter Serafinowicz, who's called the sommelier, but all he has is guns, and he's talking about weaponry like it's wine. Like, you're going to need a robust pairing for that. May I suggest this, sir? And you've got those switchboard operator ladies who have all of these files.
Old PCs, the like old gray, thick, like round screens. Yeah. Wild.
And then in the third movie, you've got the adjudicator. Like I love that this is a world full of like absolutely like hard action, balls to the wall action, but admits that there are people who still have the same level of like dignity and intimidation and badassery to them, who never pick up a weapon or you never see them use it. Like whatever their skill is that is not action based is given just as much weight to it. I really love that this is an action world where anybody could see themselves. I look at those switchboard operator ladies and I see myself. I know where I would go. I can't even climb up that many stairs without getting winded. I'm not an action hero, but I know where I would be in this world. I think anybody could like look at this world and find where they could fit in. And I think that's wonderful that it's got a diversity, not just of like cultural backgrounds and skills and ages of people that he encounters, but like whatever your ability is, whatever your personality is, whatever your just like everyday Joe skills are, there's somewhere in this world for you.
Yeah. You know what these movies kind of remind, have you ever seen one of those like speed painters that do some painting really, really fast, and then all of a sudden they flip it upside down and you're like, it was Keanu Reeves. It was a portrait of him. Oh my God. I didn't see that. Right. It almost reminds me of that because some of this world building is just flat out ridiculous. Like it is a caricature of all of this stuff. Like they have a network, like this assassin organization that seems to be this global phenomenon that is just absolutely a bureaucracy. But they are so, like, everyone, like you said, has their specific skill and is intimidating in that skill that they are, that everything just gets done. It's like, wait a minute, a bureaucracy that works, but it's for assassins. Huh. That's ridiculous. But right? Like it's so dumb, but it's not the focus of the movie. Like it's not what you're meant to focus on, and so it like you end up watching John Wick do all of these incredible action sequences and stunts and get hit by cars 10 times each movie and all of that stuff, and then like once you kind of step back and you're just like, they live in a really ridiculous world, huh? It's a caricature. Like that's what it is.
But
it's fun.
It is a lot of fun. You get really invested in it. Nothing makes you roll your eyes. Nothing is too ridiculous because everything is treated very naturalistically. Like, oh, of course, we've got this secret office of all of these women in these like mid-century secretary outfits covered in tattoos and piercings. They're like the punkest looking ladies wearing like little pink blouses and pencil skirts, pulling out like physical files like they're in an old library, putting rubber stamps on manila folders. And when she stamps the form, that is delivered with the same punch as if it was a punch.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Shotgun blast. Bam. Yeah. These movies are a lot of fun. I want to talk about the elder, the guy who's above the high table for a bit. I don't remember that actor's name, but an actor who appeared in Lost. Right. He's the from Ajira flight. I forget what number it was. He was from one of the later seasons. He was the guy. Yeah. He
I haven't gotten to that yet in my rewatch. Was this guy in Wonder Woman?
He may have.
I might be thinking of somebody else.
I don't know. I've seen him in a few things. I he's one of my like favorite actors that is not like a huge big star that's out there. Yeah, I never remember his name, but to see him, I was like, oh, it's this guy. I like him. He's cool.
These series are so good at pulling actors, whether they're very recognizable. Like you've got your Willem Dafoe in there, you've got your smaller players like this guy or like a Peter Serafinowicz who are like, you don't always remember their name or where you've seen them, but you know you have seen them and you're like, this person is reliable. And then you've also got like, I don't think I've ever seen the Adjudicator before, but she is so effective. She is an absolute presence. Like I think this movie really knows how to draw on the presence that people already have, that like you know that person already has because you've seen them around, and to give so much weight to even like newer or younger actors who you've maybe never seen before.
Yeah. But what was neat to me is like, once they go out and that's kind of where the plot is going, that we know that John Wick wants to find the elder to beg for a second chance, because he broke the rules and killed someone on continental grounds and stuff like that, which is why he got excommunicated. When they went out there and they did all of that, they started to introduce this idea of like, so where did the assassins start? How did this all get started, right? And they go into the etymology of the word. Was it this idea of these people that smoked the hashish, or was it this assassin, like this like man of faith that is so devoted to their beliefs? And that stuff is neat. And then when you finally meet him and John Wick chops off his middle finger, or his ring finger, of course there is the significance of like he's sacrificing his life with his wife. He can no longer wear his wedding ring again. I'm also a big video game player. There's a big franchise called Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And they do all of this same stuff where they get into like how this all started, blah, blah, blah. That's one of the things that the assassins used to do in those early games is they would cut off their ring finger. And the reason in those games was because they had a device that they would attach to their arms that would stick out a blade. And so they cut their ring finger off so it wouldn't like stab one of their fingers, and they just put the blade in that where that finger would go. And so that was also kind of their like secret sign to one another that like, yes, I'm an assassin. Like if they are missing their ring finger. So I saw that, was just like, oh, I like where this is going. This is cool. Yeah, this is great. I love this. More of this.
I can't believe in the third movie, in not just in the same movie, but I think in the span of time, maybe in like less than 48 hours for John Wick, he gets branded and he chops off a finger.
Right? He gets hit by cars. He falls off the roof of a building. He gets shot a number of times, right? And he gets stabbed. But yeah, like that was in the Assassin's Creed video games. There is in like the first one, there is like a small reveal of like, oh, so someone who works at this organization, they were like, it'll be all right, and they put their hand on you and their ring finger is missing, and it's like, okay, they're on my side. Good. Neat. So something like that in chapter 4 would be neat, right? If there's more people out there who have like, hey, we are one of the like inner circle of like the elders people, right? Because he had a few other people like attending to him. They already had John Wick's suit out in the middle of the desert. How did they get that? I don't know.
That is a good point. In this third movie, there's a lot of importance placed on like fealty, like to all these people in the organization. Like, you serve the high table. They all say, I have served. I will be of service. I pledge myself to the high table. And if you go against that, there is a physical punishment. Like we see Angelica Houston as part of that the Russian, the Belarusian, like the inner circle, she like brands over his like back tattoo to say like, you have already like cashed in your ticket. I have already given you like the one service I owe you. You can't ask for anything ever again. So, and then in exchange for doing that, because she did help John Wick when he was excommunicado, like then she gets like she does the prayer hands. They stab a sword through her hands, and then like they give the 7 cuts to Lawrence Fishburne. Like we're seeing this physical punishment or this physical mark of your past and your transgressions in this movie. But I don't think we've met anybody yet who already has a scar. Like they've already been through that. We're just seeing all of it happen now. So that is something I would like to see in the 4th movie, like to see somebody with a mysterious scar and you're like, did the High Table do that? What did you do?
Yeah. Because that's the thing is we have this big network of assassins, but there's I felt like there was also a reference to a second organization. There was I think it was when John Wick goes to see Lawrence Fishburne when he's like he's on his throne underground. They all thought he was dead.
Yes.
Right? In that scene, I think it's that scene. I could be wrong here. But it's one of these scenes where he's like, I need help. Can you get me to this thing?
Yeah.
Someone makes a reference to like, will you go in the dark? They're in the dark too. And like, I took that as this kind of cryptic, the like, so there's a dark side. Does that imply that this organization is the light? The light, like, is this are these the good guys? Is there a bad organization that's out there and that they have spies in that organization that will help you? Or is this like you're going underground, like the people who've been excommunicated kind of have like an underground railroad kind of thing here? Like just like I want to know more about that. If this organization is so large, like right now, they seem to have a monopoly. Is there someone that is opposing them? Is there like what's happening here?
This is like in the Venture Brothers where they've got the Guild of Calamitous Intent. That's like the like villainy guild, but also there are minor other guilds you could join, like the Fraternity of Torment.
Right. Yeah. Like I just am curious of how they will expand this world next. And I would like to see some kind of opposing organization. And but like, oh, this guy showed up again. He hasn't been here in 20 years. He's like, secretly I've been like in the shadows running my own organization. And right. So
I
don't know.
As you watch these events play out in front of you, like I said earlier, there's no audience point of view character. Nothing is explained. So you have no sense of precedent for anything. Like everybody in this world already knows what excommunicado means. So they don't have to talk about the history of excommunicado. Who has been through this before? You know what the consequences are. It just happens. It just happens and you have to play catch up.
Yeah. It'd be a terrible movie if John Wick is excommunicado. What's that? And they have to like explain
nobody
it,
ever asks what's that. And I do think that is a strength of the movie, that you get to spend this time wondering about this stuff and imagining what else is out there. And the movie's like, we'll tell you in time. And if we don't know yet, we're gonna figure it out. And then we'll tell you once we've got it figured out. Like we're both big MCU fans, and the MCU is this big grand master plan that is like timelines and spreadsheets and flow charts and check boxes. Like you're getting these little pieces one by one to build a bigger picture, but they've already got like the back of the puzzle box when they're putting the puzzle pieces together. And with John Wick, I get the sense that it is like piece by piece, we don't know what we're building yet because we're not done yet. It's fun to see that. It's fun to see all sorts of different ways to build a movie franchise, to build an ongoing mythological narrative story like this.
Yeah. All of that stuff is neat. which of the three movies is your favorite? I've said a bunch now that I really enjoyed that first one the most, but what one spoke to you the most?
It might be the third one. I think I enjoy all the globe trotting that's in it. I enjoy getting even deeper into the mythology. I love all these side characters you run into. I love to see Jason Mantzoukas as the TikTok man.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite sequence in any of these films, and all of them have got incredible production design. They pick really cool looking set pieces.
Yes.
And both in terms of like how he's fighting or what he's fighting with, but like where they are, all the physical locations, the casts they assemble. Like I think these movies are really consistently strong in that sense. But I think my favorite sequence is in the second movie, and it is when he goes to that other continental and he's preparing for this assassination job, and he goes to like the map guys and the suit guys and the sommelier. Like I just love to see the preparation. I love to see the errands involved in assassinry. All these things you have to do. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was Men in Black, and my favorite scene there is just when Agent J is getting set up at the Men in Black. Like he goes through the interview, like he does the test, he does the shooting range, and then he gets the fingerprints burned off his hands and he puts on the suit. And this, like the second movie reminded me of that. I love a movie where a man puts on a suit, where he prepares himself for the work that is to be done.
Yeah, that's like, because that is the thing. I was debating with myself if I liked that kind of setup and payoff, right? That punchline and not that this is a comedy or anything, but just the idea, the calm before the storm, seeing him load all the guns, pick the ones he wants, get the new suit, like all of that stuff. And I was like, do I like that? I just kind of want to see him do an action scene. Like I don't know, but then like there is just something about that. Just seeing all the planning and preparation that goes into that. You're just sitting there like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Here we go. Like, it's about to go down. That I think is really nice. It's a good cadence to the film. It's not just action from the get-go. Here we go, all action all the time, nonstop, which can also be good in its own right. But there is just, I like that it does take its time with that.
Yeah.
So that was good. So one of my favorite set pieces, mainly in the second movie, they kind of do something similar in the third, but in the second movie, there's a scene, I forget where they are, but they're in a room that basically every surface is reflective.
Yeah.
Right. And they still have like some like multicolored lights and all of that stuff. But they're like walking down these stairs and in this room where everything is a mirror. And it's not like the wall is one big giant mirror. It's more like real smaller ones. They almost have that like funhouse look where they're like bent and warped and all that stuff. And it makes for an incredible set piece, very interesting lighting. That was, I think, the thing from the second movie that blew me away the most, just that scene. All of the digital processing to get the cameras out of all of those mirrors and reflective. What the hell? Like
big claps.
I was like, that would have been a nightmare. Like, how do they do that? Good God. Like, or was it all green screen? I don't know. Like, I think
a lot of this movies,
so, but
a lot of these are done practically. Like, this is one of my favorite things about watching movies with my dad is that frequently he will just buy something. If he's got even minor interest in it, if he's like out at a Best Buy, he'll just buy it. And we've got these special features we can watch. And my dad, the details nerd, as I mentioned earlier, will watch these special features together, and you learn like how intense everybody's training was, how much time was put into the pre-production of these movies. like in the third one, we meet Halle Berry, and she's got these attack dogs with her. And she spent like 12 hours a week for like months training with these dogs. Like they adopted these puppies and trained them, like, raised them and trained them for that scene specifically. Like really lovingly, like they were always playing with them, but they structured the play in a way that would lend itself to these action stunt set pieces.
Yeah.
And, they really like, we have to train these dogs as well as we can and train the cast and crew to work with the dogs, to cooperate with them, to kind of respond to what they're doing. And just the amount of care that went into that. And the action set piece at the end of the third movie is this glass house.
Yep.
Which they custom built, of course. You don't find anything like that out there in the wild. And
side note on that, eat your heart out, Indiana Jones. There were crystal skulls galore and all of that.
Yeah, this had them
too. Yeah.
But they had this huge warehouse where they had like the floor plan of what would be the glass building, like mapped out on the floor so that they could choreograph all of the stunts and then make sure that when they built that house, it was going to cooperate with what they wanted the choreography to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this glass house where you have to be really careful to make sure like you're not running into a wall. I can't imagine just like how careful you have to be with like not leaving fingerprints or something.
Right.
And they were breaking like real glass, like not always like Hollywood sugar glass, like glass. And they're like, we can only do the stunt once. Because then we would have to sweep up every little speck of the broken glass and like reset the thing and do it again. So like we have to really nail this on the first time.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. I mean that is the thing. Despite me not being like, it's one shot, one kill, like it takes 6 shots to get someone down. Like just stunts are still incredible. The fights are
yes.
gorgeous. Like it is the kind of action that I would expect from this type of movie or Mission Impossible or even just some like kung fu action film, right? Like man, like there's such a spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun, but they still like also, despite us being like the world is growing and expanding and there's this global network of assassins and all that stuff, they all still feel really small.
Yeah.
Like I felt when we watched Mission Impossible, like all of those films, those feel big in a certain way. Like there are no stunts that is like jumping off an airplane onto a ski boat while backflipping over a whale and doing this, that, right? Like there's nothing like that. It's all just this like you shoot here, you kick that guy, you get hit by this thing, you break that thing, you shoot that guy, right? And it like because they kind of narrowed down the scope of like what their stunts are.
Yeah.
They go so hard on like all of that stuff. It's like, okay, this is going to be a long sequence of all of this stuff. And it's just, it's neat. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a different type of stunt work. It's not like the big set pieces of Mission Impossible where he's like, I'm climbing up the Burj Dubai. I am jumping out of a helicopter, or like that one motorcycle jump in No Time to Die. It's all, a lot of it is hand-to-hand combat, and it feels smaller in scale and smaller in stakes. Like in a Mission Impossible or a James Bond or something, often the world is at stake. You're trying to stop this incredible deadly weapon that's going to like infect or harm or kill like who knows how many people. But here in John Wick, even if it seems like assassins are everywhere and the whole world is assassins, the stakes are never more than like the immediate handful of people.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not that one's better or worse, but just like in an era of these very large scale world saving action movies, it is just a nice change of pace to have one that's just like, I need to survive. I need to live.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you feel about John Wick falling off of the top of the building and surviving?
We don't know.
I saw that. I was like, there's no way. I was like, no real life human would ever survive that.
It kind of reminds me of the Reichenbach fall from Sherlock in like all of those.
Yeah.
How we're not exactly sure how he pulled it off, but we saw like everybody's different theories about how he survived that fall and faked his death. And the use of all of the unhoused individuals of New York City being this like secret underground information network is a lot like Sherlock, even back in the Arthur Conan Doyle novels. Yeah, he's got this like network.
His homeless network, yeah.
yeah. And so I kind of imagine that something like that happened here. Like Jason Mantzoukas was there to catch him. I don't know.
Lawrence Fishburne and all of his homeless
pigeons.
People, right?
Pigeons saved him.
He fell on pigeons and they lifted him up. Yeah.
Right, it's just like the Pigeon Man from Hey Arnold. That's how he did
it. Oh God, or from Home Alone, right? It's the pigeon lady. God, yeah. No, I saw that, and that was the one stunt that I was like, okay, it's obviously CGI. Like that's not a stunt you can do in real life, right? But he hit everything on his way down. He hit
just pinballed down there.
Yeah. There is no way, especially after getting stabbed that many times, shot that many times, hit by cars that many times. There's no way. And yet we're getting a fourth movie. He survived. He was. They looked around the corner to be like, he's still there? No? Okay. Weird.
Huh.
And yeah, they just kind of left it at, that's weird. And then that was it. So, I mean, but that's the thing. They are on top of the Continental. Was it someone from the Continental? Was it Lance Reddick's character who helped them out? What, like, because it seems like Ian McShane's character is kind of going for this power play. Like he's conniving, he's scheming. I don't know if he wants a seat on the board or the high table, whatever it is, or if he is like a spy for some other network that's out there, and he's I don't know, but it could be kind of anything, right? I don't really remember what that, like, if there was a like this is who saved him thing at the end. But
maybe he's so resilient he just picked himself up, dusted himself off, and hobbled away.
Right.
I do like the compressed time frame of these movies, and that maybe in the fourth one we're gonna see him where he's like, I literally just can't get up anymore. Like, hand me a gun, I'll shoot them from the floor where I lie.
Yeah, who knows? Any kind of final thoughts on John Wick that you want to add?
I'll say I'm not typically into unhyphenated action movies. Like, I love a superhero action movie, a sci-fi action movie, a spy action movie. I don't as often go for just action movies, but I think these are maybe the top of the form. Like, there's so much skill and craftsmanship in here and care. And I do love the intricate but like very well-paced world building. Even if you aren't an action person, you can still find a lot of interest in that. And I was thinking, what would be the hyphenate after this movie? And I think about John Wick as, like, they call him the Baba Yaga. And there's so much lore in this world. Like you said, not exactly mysticism, but everything is given this like almost mythological significance. Like, if I was to genreify this, I'd say this is action-folklore. I think that's what it is.
Sure, yeah. Action thriller, action folklore, action myth, right?
Action myth.
Action legend.
It's like this and the Northman. Yeah.
I had a blast with these. I am now looking forward to John Wick 4. I can go see that in theaters and be fine and be like, hey, I caught up, guys. I'm here.
Yeah. I think right now that is sitting at March 24th.
Cool. Good stuff.
Not
Expect we'll do some kind of like spoiler cast thing on one of our other podcasts, the Reactor Core for John Wick 4. So be on the lookout for that down the road.
Yeah.
All of that good stuff. So bingo, we made our bingo cards before this.
Yes.
We like to do review show bingo every year here on the podcast. We have a bunch of different movie and comic book and entertainment tropes that we have filled out some bingo cards with. I don't have it ready to like pull up on screen and do all of that stuff. It will be ready for this next week here. But Melissa, I know you had at least one in there.
Yeah, we've got Fight in the Rain, and we also have an actor from Lost.
Yes. Of course, my card is different, so I am trying to see. Did we have a power outage in this? I don't think so.
Oh yes, they do cut the power to the Continental after it's been deconsecrated, and they can conduct business there.
Okay. So let's see. How do let's do fill color.
Oh, I think
put that one. There we go.
I think I would also get car as weapon.
Yeah, they run people over. I would.
Yeah.
And like purposely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would. We'd also expand it to motor vehicle as weapon, because there's also plenty of motorcycle action in these.
Yeah. Let's see here.
No poison. I hope we get to poison in the fourth movie.
Death by electrocution? Did we have that?
I can't wait to see the more diverse types of assassins who aren't like gun and knife assassins. Like, I want to see the wildest ways that people get the assassination jobs done in the John Wick universe.
If I have to say one final thing on John Wick, it's that when we hear other people describe him, it's always that story, right? Of like, he killed 3 men with a pencil.
Yes, show us that.
I want more creative kills like that, where all he has is a pencil. Like, I don't want full on Jackie Chan, right? Where he's just using whatever there is, but like, give him something else than a gun and a knife or a sword, right?
Yeah, and I like that you meet these specialists along the way. Like, there's Doc. Like, there is an assassin doctor. Like, there's a doctor who serves the assassin community at the New York Continental. And I'd love to learn if, like, he was once a poison-based assassin. Or, like, he knew how to medically kill somebody, and now he's like, I've retired. I only use my skills to heal. I only serve medicine now.
So I put down vehicle in peril. Because there is the one scene where the car is on the edge and he's about to get hit, right?
That's what we mean. That's vehicle in peril.
Yep, I do have that one. Let's see here. No cows in this movie. I did put cow on my bingo card.
I also have cow.
Let's see here. Oh, I got another one. I didn't even think about this. So we're not so different, you and I, in John Wick 3. He's like, we're the same. We're the same. Yeah. And he's like, no, we're not.
Sits right next to him on the couch. The guy's great.
Let's see. Take fast food. Nope. Crashing a fancy party. Not really. No magic books.
Not yet.
None of that stuff. Okay, I think that's it. So I have, we're not so different, you and I. Vehicle in peril and power outage. Those are the ones I got with this.
An actor from Lost, Fight in the Rain, and car as weapon.
Cool. And of course, we both got our free space on that too. So there you go. That's our bingo update. Like I said, I will have this ready to go to be able to pull up on screen so you guys can see it all next week when we continue. Okay, cool. I can put that down right now. So Melissa, recommendation recommendations is next. While you are starting that, I'm going to pull up the things that I'm going to be pitching for next week. So take it away, Melissa.
We've already mentioned a lot of great recommendations. First off, I would recommend, if you're watching John Wick, seek out the physical releases so you can watch all these great bonus features. There's a lot to learn about what went into the making of this movie that I found very enriching. We've mentioned other action movie franchises. We love a Mission Impossible around here. We love a James Bond. I've only seen the first Kingsman movie, and when I watched it, it was like on a streaming service that had commercials. And if I paused it for too long, it would like jump back to the beginning of the movie, and I'd have to fast forward to where I was. And I was really distracted. So I don't think I got a lot out of Kingsman, but I remember like some cool action scenes and more suits. If you're like me and that's what you like about action movies, is that a guy wears a very nice suit, that Kingsman is a good suit movie.
There you go.
Last year, when Kyle and I finally met up in person, went out to see you in Oklahoma City, we went to the movies and we saw Bullet Train, which is also a assassination-based action film that also has like a big multicultural cast, you know, people with different skill sets, different specialties, all converging on the set piece of a Japanese bullet train. So I think that was fun. And I also mentioned The Venture Brothers, which is an Adult Swim animated show that is about it's sort of a takeoff on Johnny Quest. It's in this world of super science and super villains and heroes and everything like that. But it is all bureaucratized. Like, if you're a supervillain, you have to join the Guild of Calamitous Intent, which is ruled over by a Council of 13 who serve a sovereign.
Yeah.
And you get like a level based on like all of your resources. Like, okay, how many henchmen do you have? Well, since a bunch of your henchmen died, you're knocked down. You're no longer an 8. You're more of like a 6. And that hero you were fighting, like his super scientist brother just died and left him all this money. So now that he has all this money and he can have all this extra tech, he's actually gone up several levels. He's a level 12. You're not at a high enough level to where you can arch him anymore. So if you want like stuff. Organizational nonsense like that put into your like action storyline, Venture Brothers might work for you.
Great show. Great show. I would also like to recommend the movie The Old Guard, which is on Netflix. It is a live action adaptation of a comic book by Greg Rucka. And that is a great action film. Great comic, too. I like it a lot. But it is about this team of, I guess you could say, like, for like mercenaries. But they are immortal. They are these immortal. Yeah. Well, they say they're immortal. They're not really. It's just like certain warriors throughout time have stopped dying, right? And they just don't know if there is an expiration date. So they're just like, essentially, we're just kind of immortal until we learn otherwise.
That's cool.
There's some great action in that. I like that movie a lot. Comic is really, really good too. Yes.
I want to mention that is from director Gina Prince Bythewood, who directed The Woman King, which is a very different sort of action movie. It is this African historical epic, but that's also got outstanding action and a really nice look at this sort of the lives of these people who devote themselves to this way of serving their community by being warriors and all of the sort of traditions and rules and restrictions that they have to live under.
Sure. Let's see, what else can I recommend? I mentioned a couple of video games, the Assassin's Creed stuff, Hitman.
Yeah.
If you want the Hitman video games, the recent ones are fantastic. They are great. Lots of this where you have to go assassinate someone in the middle of a club thing, but you can go in guns blazing if you want. You can be sneaky and stealthy. You can do ridiculous stuff where you like knock out the guy who was wearing a flamingo costume next door, and you take that in here and over there. There's all sorts of ridiculous stuff you can do in that. That's a lot of fun. There are some Hitman movies. I don't remember them being very good. So I don't know if I can really recommend those. But I guess would be along the same kind of thing, right? Organization of assassins,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So there you go. I think that's some good recommendations if you like John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
What else you might want to go check out? Cool. Melissa, it's my turn to do some pitches. I have the first official pitch
Yay!
of 2023. So you blew my mind at the end of last year when you said we hadn't done any anime.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten to it last year. We'd read some manga, we'd watched some live action Japanese movies because you had a kaiju focus last year, but we did not get to Japanese animation.
So I said, you know what? Let's just let's at least get one in there on the books to say that we did stuff. I'm sure we'll do some more down the road, but it was so straight. It was like, we didn't do any. That can't be right. That's not right. But let's start out with this. So I got 3 animes for you. This first one is one that I have never heard of before. It was just like, hey, this is new. Let's see what it is. This is called Infinite Dendrogram. It says the year...
What?
The year is 2043. The virtual reality MMORPG Infinite Dendrogram is released, featuring the ability to perfectly simulate players' 5 senses. Nearly 2 years later, Reiji Mukudori enters the world of Infinite Dendrogram and assumes the name Ray Starling. And upon his arrival, he is joined by his more experienced brother Shu and his embryo companion Nemesis.
What?
I don't know what that means. I have no idea. As Ray explores the world of Infinite Dendrogram, he learns to make a life for himself there and meets different kinds of friends and foes. So yeah, I thought I would put this one in there, especially since we did that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Also, just another one of these, like, I got sucked into a video game thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Who knows? That's pitch number 1. Infinite Dendrogram. And let's see. The anime that's 13 episodes. I believe you can watch it on Crunchyroll. I think I found it on Hulu. Is also where it is. If it's not on Hulu, then it would be on Amazon, because those were the 2 places that I looked for stuff. So, but I think that one is on Hulu. Pitch number 2, also one that I had never heard of, but I thought it was an interesting premise. This one is called Vatican Miracle Examiner. The plot follows two men who work for the mysterious organization, the Seat of the Saints, an element of the Vatican dedicated to investigating alleged miracles during their work. They usually find themselves involved in mysterious murder cases, which they often end up investigating. Eventually, they cross paths with an ancient organization that secretly aims to control the Vatican since the Middle Ages and is involved in obscure alchemic and scientific experiments in search of a way to reach immortality. I was just like, I have to put that one on the list because it's so strange.
Yeah.
Vatican Miracle Examiner. That's pitch number 2.
How much is that?
That one is also 12 episodes.
Okay.
And that one is on Amazon. I do remember that. There you go. Wikipedia also says there's an original video animation, so there might be like a finale movie on that. I don't know if that was on Amazon or not. This is the first I'm seeing of that, but yeah, 12 episodes. We'll stick with that, at least. Pitch number 3. Our third and final pitch. This is one that I am familiar with. I watched it a long time ago, closer to when it came out. I don't remember anything about this, but I remember when it came out, people were talking about it so much that it is kind of a game changer for this genre. This is Puella Magi Modica Magica. People usually just call it Modica Magica.
Okay.
This is on Hulu. This is a magical girl anime. And what's interesting to me about this one is what I was mentioning, that people were talking about this basically being like, this is the same what like Neon Genesis Evangelion did for Mecha, and what Revolutionary Girl Utena did originally for like the magical girl stuff. This is a more modern take on this like deconstruction of the magical girl genre. And we haven't done any kind of magical girl anime on the show, period. So I wanted to toss this one on there. It's on Hulu. The original show is 12 episodes long.
Okay.
So there you go. Pitch number 1, Infinite Dendrogram. Pitch number 2, Vatican Miracle Examiner. And pitch number 3, Modica Magica.
Interesting assortment, good variety of genres we got here. I think I am going to go with Modica Magica because I've heard of this. When I Google it, I look at the little creature and it's like, I've seen that before. So I would like to contextualize what this is.
Yes.
I would like to fill, I'm less into anime than you are, and I would like to take the opportunities to fill out, to like watch the things I know somebody might ask me about. You know?
Sure, yeah.
Like I want to play the hits here.
Yeah, like this, I know you're not as much of a fan of anime, especially if it's like set in a high school, or this one is technically set in the middle school, but it's not it's not focusing on the like everyday school life. Oh, does he love me? Does he not? Like, it's not that slice of life stuff that I think throws you off most of the time.
I just get burnt. I thank you for putting in Vatican Miracle Examiner, which is about adult men who have careers.
I genuinely thought that was an interesting one. I was like, I've never seen an anime about the Vatican. This is weird.
Yeah, that is
like, why not?
That is. I am interested in whatever that story's approach is. That does sound interesting. You're right that we haven't talked about anything magical girl before, even though like that is something that's been on our trope bingo. I put down magical transformation sequence on my trope bingo, knowing like we're eventually going to hit this.
And it's not necessarily for anime either. If we went back and watched that old Wonder Woman show, she has her like spinning transformation
it does exist.
That's a magical girl thing. Yeah.
To American Werewolf in London, there's lots of things we could put under magical transformation sequence. But I think even though we've never talked about it, it's still recognizable enough. Like I grew up watching Card Captors in Sailor Moon. Like I know what this is. We both know what it is. I think this is well recognized enough as a pop culture genre that we can start with a deconstruction of it. I feel like the baseline has been laid in our own individual lives, even if we haven't talked about the genre in show before.
Yeah. Wikipedia does describe this as a dark thriller. So.
Okay.
There we go. That is what we will do for this next week. Modica Magica, or Madoka Magica?
I think I've heard Madoka.
I've heard both ways, but it's also been like a decade since I watched this, so
yeah.
Who knows? We shall see. We shall learn, and we will talk about it next week. That is what we will be doing. I think that's it. I think that is pretty much all for this podcast. So, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
Oh, do we want to talk about our monthly ongoing series?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder.
We did tease this at the beginning. At the end of every month, we follow one thing all the way through to its conclusion. So like we will watch one season of a TV show every month until we finish that TV show. Or we'll read several volumes of a comic every month until we finish the whole thing. And we had originally picked the TV show The Good Place to be our first ongoing monthly series of this year. We're going to postpone that because, as we mentioned earlier, we've been wanting to find a way to approach the vast Fast and Furious franchise, which I've never seen any of. And you've seen like the first 2 or 3.
The first 3, yeah.
Like it's time we catch up. It's time we get on board. It's time we join the family. But we didn't want to compress all of that into one episode. So we're actually going to make that our first ongoing monthly series of this year. At the end of January, we're going to be talking about the first 3 movies. And then for the next 2 months, we're going to cover it 3 movies at a time until we've watched all 9 Fast and Furious movies. Hobbs and Shaw optional. We may watch Hobbs and Shaw in our own time and talk about it in that 3rd episode. We're going to wait and see.
There you go. I'll probably watch it, but we're not going to be like discussing it. We might reference it here and there, but it's not going to be like, you need to watch this to understand what we're talking about. So yeah, 3 movies each for the next 3 months. And then similar to how I mentioned John Wick 4, we'll probably do a spoiler cast of on the Reactor Core. We'll probably do the same thing for Fast 10. Comes out too. So
that's why we put this at the beginning of the year, so that we could be all caught up by the time that movie comes out in like April or May.
Yeah. So
we're like, we can't wait. We have to do this before that series continues.
I'm excited. I'm so stoked. This is going to be good. But yeah, next week, Modica Magica, end of the month, the first 3 Fast and the Furious. So be on the lookout for all of that stuff. Now, Melissa, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities. It's a show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. We took a bit of a hiatus at the end of the year. I think we've got like maybe 1 episode recorded that Jam still has to edit and release. But we're going to be releasing another new episode soon. I think we've done bi-monthly, and now we're going to switch to once a month. So we're doing fewer episodes, but we're going to be able to release them more consistently. We won't need to take like an extended winter break at any time. So
sounds good.
We got an episode from the back catalog we're going to release soon, and then a new episode will be out in February.
Perfect. Sounds good. Good. If you guys want to follow me, I am at Yo Kyle Springer. If you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnauts, we are at The Whatnauts. So yeah, go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. That would help us out a ton. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out one of our other videos over there on that side. Hit one of those buttons. This has been number 236 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.